Hello, welcome to another highly informative and educative package of your program where we look at issues, trends, developments in the global ICT industry. Today, we have an incredible package for you. Stay with us. In case you've just joined us, you're watching Africa's numero uno tech show on television with Don Pedro Agambi. When we come back from this quick break, you'll meet our tech personality of the week.
From Nigeria receives the first prize in the AISI TV category for his program, ICT Africa. Congratulations, Don Pedro.
ICT reporter of the year, electronic. Don Pedro Agambi.
Today, digitization is life. So every sector you see running, no matter how slow or how fast it is running because of digitization.
One thing I think that we can do and should do is move our education from a theoretical perspective to a skill-based perspective.
Our tech personality of the week is Dr. Seyi Akindeinde.
My name is Dr. Seyi Akindeinde. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of DigitalEncode. DigitalEncode is primarily a cybersecurity and technology company where we help organizations protect their information assets, and also we, allow them to get certified to global information security standards, across the world. So that's basically, what we do.
How far, how well have you gone in that area of cybersecurity?
It's been something that we've been doing for, over 12 years now, especially in the cybersecurity field. We started with IT, and I dare say that we have actually, helped the industry to, first of all, get to know cybersecurity issues, and then also help them protect information assets, especially, financial institutions. So I'm sure if you have a bank account in Nigeria, you find out that, the cards you are using are chip and pin cards, there's security for, the ATMs and the POSs. Those are some of the things that we do to help organizations better secure their information assets against cyber criminals, against hacking, and against, fraudsters, so to say. I think we have, by and large, been successful in that area. And I think we can only, progress from here.
Do we have hackers in Nigeria?
We have loads of hackers in Nigeria. You have to understand that the internet is a wild place. All you need to do now is go to, Google and type, hacking tools. And these tools are, available as free and open source tools that you can just download on your computer and, hack. I mean, if we don't have hackers, how do you think some of the perpetrators of these frauds have been, the people, the so-called, in Nigeria, we tend to call them Yahoo boys. A lot of them are, yes, we call them Yahoo boys in local parlance, but, abroad, these are the people you call hackers. What are hackers? Hackers are people who gain access to other people's information without those people knowing, having unauthorized access. So once somebody has unauthorized access to your information, that's, a hacker. If somebody is masquerading as you, that's a hacker. So if I have unauthorized access to your name, your date of birth, and I call your bank and I masquerade as you, I'm already a hacker. But in here, we tend to call them Yahoo boys because there is no, structure. So a lot of the so-called Yahoo boys are actually, termed hackers. So I say we have hackers in Nigeria.
Are there systems, structures in place to mitigate against hackers or what you call Yahoo boys?
Yes. Before now, we didn't have, those kinds of systems. But right now, there are systems in place to checkmate them. There are systems in place. A lot of organizations, from your telcos to your financial institutions to your insurance companies, they've now put systems in place to actually checkmate these things. They have information monitoring systems to checkmate a lot of these things. And part of what we do here is also, we have run some kind of cybersecurity SOC center, what we call Security Operations Center, where we help organizations look into, sort of like running CT. I'm sure if you look around, you see some monitors here. What we do is that each monitor is dedicated to each of our clients, where once we switch it on, we can see what's going on. During the weekend, when there is no activity, when they are not open, we can actually see who is logging in, what is happening, and we get that feedback, and we're able to quickly pinpoint, transactions that should not be happening, or illegal transactions that, that is taking place and should not be taking place. So those are some of the structures that they've put in place, and they've employed third-party, companies, third-party tools to help them safeguard, that aspect. So I think that there are structures in place for, to mitigate against the risk of hackers.
Okay, so let's go into the nitty-gritty of this discussion. What is the concept behind blockchain technology?
Thank you very much again for that question. A lot of people get, they get it mixed up when we talk about blockchain technology and whatnot, and its relationship with something like cryptocurrency. Blockchain is not cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is not blockchain. Blockchain is a system that has come to take, they put the power into the hands of, the user. Now, if you look at the internet, for instance, if you look at the way the internet is, internet works in such a way that you need some kind of trust. So, for instance, an easy way I can explain this to you is to look at the way financial transactions work right now. So, if, for instance, I want to send money from my bank to you, you bank with bank A, I bank with bank B. Now, there is no way for me to move that value to you except maybe through cash. And we are in the same, proximity environment. But if I have to do that electronically, I would have to depend on a third party. So what I'll have to do is there's a third party, like a bank, that sits in between me and you to move that. So that bank is what we call a trusted third party. So blockchain is now that system that has come to replace that bank that we have in the middle. So blockchain allows you and I to do transactions without a middleman. And that is why there is a lot of resistance. Because obviously, if you come with a piece of technology, just like if you think about when the internet came, and all of a sudden, before the internet, if I had to send a letter to somebody in the US, I have to write a letter, I'll go to the post office, and the post office will post it for me. But with the advent of the internet, what happened? It made the post office redundant. Because right now, I could sit in my house on my computer, send you an email, and send it to anybody in the world, that the person will get it. Guess what happened? The post offices resisted it, because all of a sudden they discovered that if nobody was writing letter, what would be the function of a post office? So post offices now emerge into sending, parcels and physical. That's the same thing with blockchain. It's coming to replace any kind of structure where you have a man in the middle. It allows the buyer and the seller, it allows the consumer and the producer to talk directly to themselves without the use of a middleman. That is essentially the logic behind, blockchain. I can talk to, so all the companies, all the people that are doing middleman services, doing rent seeking, it takes them out of the picture. And that's why there's a lot of resistance. So it's a technology that has come to replace, what we often call as, what we often term as, middlemen, businesses. So I can actually deal with my customers directly. That is the whole ethos of, blockchain technology.
So, okay, this misconception between crypto and blockchain, can you clarify that?
The misconception is, you see, what do you call an economy? An economy is also defined by the currency of that nation. So Nigeria exists, the currency is, the naira. Now, if you now come with a technology that says, on top of this blockchain, because you see, for you to have blockchain, there needs to be a medium of settlement. And because it's just like if you look at the internet, the way the internet is, the internet that we have in Nigeria is the internet that we have abroad. So think about the blockchain and this crypto economy as a layer on top of the internet that allows for settlement. So if you have crypto is like a global currency where anybody that holds it. So for instance, if you hold naira in Nigeria, I cannot spend naira in the US. I cannot spend naira in Ghana. I cannot spend naira in any other country other than Nigeria. But you see, when they built blockchain, they found out that there had to be some kind of medium of exchange, some kind of currency that will run on top of that blockchain that will make transactions, easier. That would not need to convert from one currency to the other. That was when the whole cryptocurrency now came about, and it's secure. But remember that before the internet, if I wanted to make a call to the US, I'd have to actually use, in the local telecoms, buy card, and then they make money. But when there was internet, anybody could run Skype, and you could call anybody abroad. So guess what? The telcos started losing money, and they said, why are people not making calls over the telephone lines again? Because people have found a way to make calls over the internet. So they tried to repress it. They tried to, because it was eating deep into their, so the same thing with, the currency. And when you start to talk about currency, it eats deep into, central banks, issuance. And so when people start to go for crypto, and obviously when there is, lack of demand for your own country's currency, it starts to lose value. And that's why there's a lot of clamor that maybe let's stop it, let's block it. But what we are saying is that, no, you see, when any new technology, for instance, when it comes out, because of the lack of understanding of what that technology would eventually do in the future, people tend to try to repress what they do not understand. So that's why there's a lot of back and forth as to, is this good for the economy or is this bad? So that's the challenge that we are currently having, and it's up to us to actually try to change that narrative to say that, look, this thing has come to help in certain cases, in certain situations, and it's not as if it's going to make your currency obsolete. It's just going to come and especially for people that are unbanked, for instance, with cryptocurrency, you do not need a bank account because everything runs on top of the blockchain. The blockchain is actually, serving as the bank, so-called, but it is not really a bank because you do not need to really physically have a bank account.
In what ways do you think that blockchain technology can help leapfrog the economy?
You see, a lot of people look at blockchain from the perspective of just cryptocurrency alone. Blockchain can do a whole lot, and I'm going to give you, one or two examples of how blockchain can help to leapfrog, can help to even make an economy sound. Now, let me give you an example of, a typical example I often give is NAFTA, for instance. Now, when you produce drugs or you import drugs, they will tell you have to have a NAFTA number or whatever, food item. Now, if you produce, how do I know that the NAFTA number on your on the drug is real? How do I know that the drug I'm buying is not fake? Now, you can leverage blockchain. Now, if you do it in such a way that NAFTA has a NAFTA blockchain, and they say, because blockchain is immutable, what does that mean? It means that you cannot change, you cannot falsify information on the blockchain. On your database, for instance, in a regular database, you can falsify information on the database. You can, if you go to your bank tomorrow now, if you have 1,000 naira there, anybody can go in there and change it to 900 naira without you knowing, because it is prone to that kind of error. On the blockchain, once the data is entered, you cannot falsify it. So how can a NAFDAC leverage that? One, they can use blockchain and say, for everybody that is manufacturing drugs, we'll give you a NAFDAC registration number. For the product, it will be on the blockchain, such that if a consumer buys the product and goes into like a supermarket and buys the product, all they need to do is use their phone to scan a QR code, and it takes them to that NAFDAC blockchain to say that this drug or this product that I am buying is actually original and it is certified, and the date of manufacture, the date of expiration is what I can see. So I would know as a consumer that they have used that blockchain to verify the drug. Another area where you can use blockchain for is in things like elections. Now, you often have that when people, when we vote now, there is ballot rigging and all that. If you have a blockchain and you say once people vote, and you see it's technology, you can make it so transparent, so easy, such that, we all carry mobile phones these days. So it's easy for, say, if there are two people contesting, A and B, I can say, well, I'll give A, an address on the blockchain, and I give B an address. So because of the blockchain technology that leverages what we call tokens, tokens are pieces of software that you can send. They're like just like when you have physical tokens, sometimes when you go into, casinos and they give you those chips, you can codify it and put it on a mobile phone. So when I want to vote for Mr. A, all I need to do is send my token to Mr. A, and if you want to vote for Mr. B, you send it to Mr. B. And on the blockchain, you cannot falsify information. You cannot change that information. You cannot allocate votes for Mr. A to Mr. B. And everything is transparent. The advent of blockchain brought the advent of provenance. Provenance means that there is authenticity of products across board. Product does give you can use it in supply chain, for instance. If I buy a laptop, for instance, once it is everything about the manufacture of that laptop, whatever the product is, in any case, can be put on the blockchain, such that I am aware when it was created, when the light was created, when the keyboard was created, how it was packaged. It can move through the supply chain, and I will know that. For instance, if you go to the market, they usually sell fake items. Now, if you buy a piece of equipment, or if you buy a piece, let's even say a shirt, how do you know that shirt is not a counterfeit? How do you know that shoe is not, was not counterfeited? Now, if the manufacturer of that shoe puts on the blockchain and tags it on the blockchain, for me, if I'm going to buy and somebody is trying to sell a fake shoe to me, if I scan it, I will not see it on the blockchain. But if it's original, it will show me on the blockchain. It will show me when it was manufactured, how it was manufactured, the date of manufacture, how the supply chain went. And now I'm convinced, I know for a fact that what I am buying is not a counterfeit. So you can actually use it because it serves as, like I said, it takes all the, man in the middle, things away. It just allows the end user to prove that whatever product they are buying is authentic. Those are the uses of blockchain. Another thing you can use it for is something like certificate verification. So for instance, now I'm claiming that I have gone to school, I have BSc, I have MSc, I have PhD, I have this. How do you know, if I bring down my certificate, how do you know it is not forged? Now imagine a university, all the universities in Nigeria having their blockchain, and they say, well, once they issue a certificate, they issue it on the blockchain and they just give you. So if you are an employer and I'm an employee and I say, oh, I'm coming to you, this is my certificate, all you need to do is go on the on the blockchain and verify the authenticity of my certificate. Without even me knowing. You just query it on the blockchain and it will show me, oh, this person graduated in so year, he did this course, he graduated with this degree, and that is it. The same thing with things like land titles, title deeds. You buy land now. How do I know that the land that I'm buying from this developer has not been sold to multiple people? If you do that, you can put all these records on the blockchain, and as soon as I'm buying the land, it has a QR code that is scanning. I automatically know. And because blockchain, once you are moving so even if I want to resell the land, I transfer the title, and you can see from, person to person how that land has moved, and I can know whether it is genuine or it is not. So there is a whole lot that we are not even exploring that the blockchain technology can do. It takes, just like when the internet came, nobody really knew what the internet could do. I mean, we look at now with the advent of COVID-19, where everybody can work at home. I can sit in my house and have meeting with somebody whoever knew that 10 years ago that we could do that? You can sit in your house and have a 4-year degree without entering the 4 walls of a university. So it takes a lot of understanding. It takes a lot of, awareness for us to know that there are a lot of things that we can use the blockchain for.
In what ways do you think it can help government's digitization agenda?
One of the first things I would actually say is, I think there needs to be, for government to be fully involved, it can help them in things like eGovernment. You can use see, there are a lot of things that we do right now that every time I sit and I think that, you know what, blockchain can actually help. Think about things like our passports, where we still have to have, physical passports. Do you know that you can issue passports on the blockchain and then have it on your phone? And every time you go to a nation, all you need to do is scan. You don't need to have a physical passport. You can leverage the blockchain technology. Now, and what is in a passport? My identity, my date of birth, my this, my that. You can put all that and code that information as metadata onto the blockchain and issue me a token. Now, on the blockchain, you can have what are called NFTs. like non-fungible tokens that people are talking about now. So that NFT now serves as my own digital passport, which I have on my phone. So, and it is fully, or like when you have a passport now, people are saying, oh, is it original? Is it fake? Well, it is fully, it will be fully verified, and you know that this passport was actually issued by the federal government. The same thing with things like driver's license and all these things that we do. It can actually help. But you see, for us to get to that level, I would reiterate that we need a lot of awareness amongst policymakers, amongst consultants that are doing a lot of stuff for the government. Without that, I'm not sure that the adoption would be, other countries are already, leveraging a lot of these things. Like if you go to some countries in Eastern Europe, like Norway, and all, they already have their identities digitally. So even if, for instance, if I issue driver's license on the blockchain and I'm driving my car, and a policeman stops, all they need to do is, I scan it, and then everything appears to them on the blockchain, and they know who I am, without, even asking me. Those are some of the things that can help, But I think that, there's a lot of need for awareness. There's a lot of need for training, for capacity building, even for policy. I'm talking about even at, policy making level. So I think, once we start to get that right, I'm sure that they'll come around to start understanding, the effects that blockchain can, bring to, governance.
As we wrap up this interview, you've talked about the financial sector a lot, but we still have issues of fraud. Are you saying that blockchain has not been leveraged, or blockchain has not been, utilized enough in that sector?
It's lack of understanding. It hasn't been utilized because, and we're getting there a bit. Some companies have started using it. And you see, when you talk about fraud and all this cybersecurity, it actually goes beyond the technology. You see, when you talk about cybersecurity, it's about people, it's about process, it's about technology. So blockchain can only help in solving technology problems. There is still the process issue, and then there is, at the end of the day, people. You cannot legislate for as long as there are human beings that are controlling, human beings in charge of. You put a human being in charge of this technology, there would always be fraud. What's to tell you? For instance, I'm sure, we all have bank accounts. At the end of every month, we sit and we receive alerts that XYZ amount has been debited from. Now, think about it. If you've done a transaction and you just receive an alert, 10 naira has been debited from your account. Who pressed the button in the bank that debited you 10 naira? You did not carry out the transaction. You didn't sit down to carry out the transaction. Somebody carried out that transaction on behalf of you, even though it is your bank, and that person is a human. So what's to tell you that if instead of that person debiting 10 naira, what if he adds another 100 naira? There is nothing stopping it. So that's why the technology cannot stop somebody who already has access. So you have access to a computer, and the person goes in there, instead of debiting you 10 naira, he debits you 100 naira and does that for 1,000 other clients. That's fraud. So, you see, there is no technology that can mitigate against that other than training people, other than letting people know that. That's, at the end of the day, that's why when you look at everything, how we always say that cybersecurity most times is somebody hacking from outside in, somebody who doesn't. But fraud usually happens from inside out. So if you go to the bank, your bank now, to pay some money in, after all, there's a cashier you pay cash to. What if the cashier carries all the cash and goes? That's fraud. Because then really, what do you want to? So you have to put in, that's why you now have, division of, labor. You have somebody, counting the cash. You have somebody overseeing. All these things are there. And unfortunately, there is no way you can adequately protect what you don't know. That's why we continue to have fraud. But what I can say is that by and large, most of the financial institutions have put a lot of mitigating tools that will mitigate some of these risks to the barest, minimum, using technology. So they have CCTV monitoring, the people, they have intrusion detection systems, they have intrusion prevention systems, they have revolving doors, they have all sorts of things that would at least help in doing that. It's not perfect, but at least we know that we're getting there.
What do you think that should be done that we're not doing right now, in trying to push the concept of, blockchain technology?
I think a lot has to also come from the private sector. You see, if you look at The analogy I can make is around about 2009. Nigeria didn't have a mode of payment. There was no payment system. We didn't have cards. Now, at that time, even the government didn't understand, how we were going to be having online payments. I mean, you couldn't buy anything online. So it took private sector to say, look, how can we sit and, do e-commerce in Nigeria? And people will believe in that system and pay. So they came up and then they did the research and they brought in the magnetic stripe cards, POS terminals, ATMs, and now we have a wide adoption of. So right now, such that you can sit in your house and you can conduct business, you can go online, buy anything, and they'll deliver to you. That's the same thing that I think needs to happen with blockchain. A private sector-led initiative has to come up and look at all these key use cases. So if I'm in finance, should come up with a key use case for the financial sector. Take, for instance, blockchain can help even with funds transfer across banks. Right now, we have a central point of control and central point of failure for funds transfer. If you want to transfer funds from bank A to bank B, you need the switch, the NIP switch. Now, if that switch goes down, that central point of failure, it means that I cannot transfer money from bank A to bank B. Now, what needs to happen is somebody needs to design something around the blockchain that can leverage the blockchain to sort of take over the switch. And you see, a blockchain is always up. It never goes down because of the nature of a blockchain that it is decentralized. There's no single point of failure. There's no single point of control. If that happens and people start to see the benefits of using the blockchain, then it will, ring a bell. If I am a lawyer, for instance, on the blockchain now, people are putting their wills. So I don't need a lawyer to write a will, so if I want to put a contract, I don't need a third party. I can put it on the blockchain, and on the date that I set for my, will, for my possessions to be dispersed, it will automatically execute because blockchain is simply code. So I think once that is done, and these policymakers start to see, because remember that people in government are not technology people. They are more users. So when they start to see that these are things, and then we that have created the technology will now say, do you know that this thing is powered by blockchain, this thing is powered by blockchain, this thing is powered by... Then they start to see that, okay, so we can use it for this, So that's how they start to embrace it. And I think that is what needs to happen. It needs to come from, if you look at generally all over the world, if you look at all innovations all over the world, they usually start from the private sector. Then government will come in to regulate. Look at something like electric cars. 10 years ago, if they told you, people were thinking, electric, how can you have a car that will not have an engine? It sounded like a joke. But now we have the Teslas of this world. We have, all these electric, because it came from the private, and now they are trying to now say regulation. Because right now you now have cars that you can charge. Like phones, like you can just connect, charge their batteries. 10 years ago, this was on phantom. People did not think that it was possible. All we knew was internal combustion engine cars where you have to service the engine. Now you have a car that you open the bonnet and there is flat out no engine, and it moves. So it doesn't have a transmission. It doesn't have a gear system. You just drive and go. You just you start it and it moves, and then when you press it, that's it, and it's working. Now they've now come to see that so this is actually true. Then let us regulate it. Let us regulate the amount of power it will use. Let us regulate how to charge it. That's what needs to happen with blockchain. A private sector-led initiative needs to come out to use that the blockchain as a use case in a particular sector. And then.
So, any last word before we wrap up this interview?
We shouldn't be afraid of new technology. We shouldn't be afraid of new ideas. I remember that, around about 1998, 1999, when internet was going to come to Nigeria, there was one man, the CEO of LinkServe. He went to the UK and he used internet for the very first time and was very happy to bring it to Nigeria. So what he did was he did a demonstration at the TBS and he called a lot of industry people, and that time he connected his Nitel phone line to his computer, to a modem. That time there's a modem, you connect it, and he dialed his ISP in the UK, and all of a sudden he opened the computer and he was able to see, internet, and people saw it. And guess what happened? They arrested him because at the time they didn't know that a phone line, they thought it was only for phone calls. They didn't know that it could carry data. So maybe as hard, what did he do with Nitel phone line that is allowing him to dial a foreign, because of lack of understanding, and he was arrested. It was later on that we now saw that even our phone line can actually carry data packets. But because we had never used it for it, people were scared that maybe he must have done something to the network and they did not it was now obvious that people can actually subscribe to the internet using their phone line, and now today everybody's on the internet. Imagine if we did not adopt the internet, where would Nigeria be today? It's the same thing with blockchain. We should not be scared of new technology. Rather, we should embrace new technology. We should understand how it will help us, economically, financially, even developmentally, and then take it on board, learn it, and then make policies, not to stop it or not to curb it, but to sort of, regulate, the function. Just like internet now, we've regulated it. You can have internet, but there are certain things to which you cannot, do with it. And just as technology, a piece of technology can be used for something good, it can also be used for something bad. Just like the internet, you can use it to build websites, you can use it to run e-commerce. Some people are also using it for nefarious crimes, but it doesn't mean you should stop it just because of that. So the same thing with blockchain. Of course, blockchain has come to stay, but obviously there are people using, especially with cryptocurrency, for money laundering and all these things. But it doesn't mean that you should now completely stop it because of that. So what I can say is, let's bring it on board. Let's use it. Let's understand what we can gain from it, and then we take it to the next level from there.
Wow, Dr. Seyi, thank you indeed for your time. Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Wow, that was our tech personality of the week, Dr. Seyi Akindeinde. We hope you found this week edition quite useful and informative. And of course, for comments and observation, reach us on the numbers and emails now showing on your screen. You can also watch this on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production crew, thanks for watching. I'm Don Pedro Agambi. I'll see you next time.